I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Let me know. And that's the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know, you got people calling me. Call me yourself, because this right here is going to go viral. The way my job works on the internet, everybody's going to be clipping, sharing on TikTok. Watch this.
Prince's final social media post wasn't just a warning. It was a fatal sentence, and the people he was exposing knew it. In the months before his 2016 tragedy, Prince had uncovered a pattern of manipulation and exploitation, reaching straight into the empire of Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Those close to him say he was preparing to reveal how the couple's business network fronted by the streaming platform Tidal was allegedly built on forged deals, silenced creators, and contracts designed to outlive their signers. 6 days after hinting that his fans weren't safe, the artist who fought for musicians' rights was gone. Of the business as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old, had already did his first $1 million contract.
Business as far as being a black man that was rich in this business at 18 years old, had already did his first $1 million contract, had already broken records, was determined that he didn't want to be like anybody else, was so great of a guitar player that black people just stopped caring about guitar, and he got left out on a limb and somehow still had to create his way out of that.
We now know that the quiet legal battle that began after his passing has turned into something much bigger. In July 2024, the Prince estate filed explosive court documents accusing Tidal and Roc Nation of falsifying and backdating paperwork to seize control of more than 500 songs. What the filings describe isn't a simple licensing dispute. It's an alleged criminal enterprise, a calculated effort to rewrite history, forge ownership, and exploit an artist's legacy while the world was still grieving. According to the estate, the platform that promised to honor musicians may have used Prince's passing as an opportunity to grab his life's work for itself. The irony is sharp because Prince had once been one of Tidal's loudest supporters. Back in 2015, he publicly praised Jay-Z's service for recognizing and applauding the effort that real musicians put into their craft. At that time, Prince saw Tidal as a refuge from the corporate giants that had long controlled creative labor. He believed Jay-Z was fighting the same fight he had started in the 1990s when he painted the word slave across his face to protest record label contracts. But insiders now say that trust was used against him.
And it was pretty much said like, Jay doesn't really want awards. Well, he go to the Grammys.
Right.
He you know, come into the black-owned spaces. Let's figure out how to work together so that way we have the relationship when it matters, not when it's convenient for you and your image. Because they all call us when the story.
The heart of the dispute is a document called the Equity Term Sheet. Tidal claims it gave them lasting control over hundreds of Prince's recordings, but Prince's own representative during those negotiations, Phaedra Ellis Lampkins, told investigators that her communications with the company do not match the version of the agreement Tidal presented in court. The estate's legal team says the contract was fabricated and backdated to July 2015, months before Prince's passing, to look legitimate. If that claim is true, the entire foundation of Tidal's ownership collapses, raising the most chilling question of all. If Prince never signed those papers, who did?
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his...
Behind that mystery, we see the outlines of something larger, a cover-up meant to secure a billion-dollar catalog by any means. After Prince's passing in April 2016, Tidal began streaming his entire discography from early hits to unreleased vault material. According to filings from NPG Records, none of it was authorized. The company alleges that Tidal rushed to upload everything, gambling that the estate would be too overwhelmed to respond. That gamble might have paid off. For months, Prince's music filled the platform, generating millions, while his heirs struggled to even access his accounts. Jay-Z publicly pushed back the following year with his song Caught Their Eyes released on the album 444. Without naming the case, he positioned himself as Prince's confidant, claiming that they had spoken eye to eye and that he alone understood the late musician's wishes. It sounded like a defense, but to the estate, it felt like a narrative rewrite. The same filings Jay-Z dismissed as greed reveal inconsistencies between the supposed agreement and every verified record of Prince's communications. The timing of the lyrics so soon after the estate's lawsuit struck many as more taunt than tribute.
None other than Timbaland. Tim,
Hey, bro.
what's up, bro?
I'm blessed.
How you doing?
I'm blessed.
You know what, bro? When you come on the show and I have someone as distinguished as yourself, I got to toast your career
Yes.
and more things to come. Appreciate you.
At the center of the backlash stood Lundell MC Millen, Prince's longtime lawyer, and the man Jay-Z accused of seeing green through purple eyes. MC Millen, who also managed several of Prince's siblings, fired back publicly, reminding everyone that he was the one who helped Prince remove the slave protests from his face. He insisted that Jay-Z's companies were trying to control what Prince had spent a lifetime defending, the right to decide how his work was used. MC Millen's account lines up with the estate's. There was never a binding contract giving Tidal full rights, only a short-term streaming arrangement for one album. Behind these dueling statements, though, lurked an even darker rumor that Prince himself had shared with his confidants. In early 2016, he told friends he feared that powerful figures were using the promise of creative freedom to ensnare artists in impossible contracts. He mentioned private gatherings where newcomers were pressured to sign away publishing rights or submit to tests of loyalty. Some of those names, he warned, were tied to the same inner circle that controlled Tidal. Whether those claims can ever be proven, they cast a new light on the secrecy surrounding his final months. The July 2024 lawsuit has reignited those suspicions. Among the documents subpoenaed by the estate are internal communications between Tidal executives, Roc Nation attorneys, and Ellis Lampkins. Messages the defendants have refused to release, citing a so-called common interest doctrine. Legal experts say that phrase is usually reserved for parties sharing a joint defense, not a commercial contract, suggesting the withheld material could expose coordination among multiple companies to falsify Prince's signature. The estate argues that these withheld messages are the smoking gun. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's camp has attempted to redirect the narrative by emphasizing their claim that Prince personally wanted his music to stay with Tidal. Yet, even that storyline has cracks. According to multiple insiders, Prince's view of the partnership soured in late 2015 when he realized Tidal had already uploaded works beyond the agreed-upon album. Those same insiders say Prince felt betrayed and cornered. He was preparing legal action when he posted that hunting message on April 15, 2016, just when you thought you were safe.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
To say that they didn't do it on their own?
detain it. Yeah, detain it.
Detain it. Yeah, detain it. Not this. Within 6 days, news broke from Minneapolis that the icon had been found inside an elevator at Paisley Park. The official explanation pointed to an accidental overdose of prescribed substances, but many in his orbit found it hard to accept. They recalled how Prince had installed new security cameras, fired staff he believed were leaking information, and told visitors that the elevator represented evil forces in the industry. When Jay-Z later referenced the elevator in a lyric, "We are never going to let the elevator take him down," it sounded to some like an eerie acknowledgement that he understood exactly what Prince had meant.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's filled with gangsters.
Tidal of continuing to profit from Prince's catalog long after being asked to remove it. At the same time, new whistleblowers have come forward, describing how Tidal's internal accounting allegedly concealed royalties owed to other artists as well. These revelations reinforce what Prince had warned about for years, that streaming platforms were the new gatekeepers, and that the myth of artist ownership was just another form of control. We can see how this battle mirrors the larger power struggle within music itself. Jay-Z, once hailed as a self-made entrepreneur fighting for fairness, is now portrayed in legal documents as the very kind of mogul Prince spent his life resisting. The irony cuts deep for a man who once sold independence as his brand. Being accused of forging deals to seize another artist's master strikes at the core of everything he claimed to stand for. And then there's the question nobody has answered. Why were these alleged fabrications so important to keep hidden? Insiders close to the estate claim there are deeper financial motives that controlling Prince's unreleased vault rumored to contain thousands of songs could make Tidal indispensable again in an era when its market share has dwindled. For Jay-Z and Beyoncé, whose joint net worth depends heavily on their streaming and publishing empire, losing that catalog would be a devastating blow. But the mystery doesn't end with paperwork. Those who have examined the timeline see patterns that point beyond business. Prince's digital footprint in his final weeks shows an escalation of paranoia and secrecy. He canceled appearances, spoke cryptically about energy vampires, and hinted at battles too dangerous to name publicly. He seemed to know he was running out of time. Whether that fear was justified or manipulated remains unclear.
I have to still say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
Documents tied to Tidal's leadership, we begin to understand how far-reaching this conflict might be. The picture forming now is less about music rights and more about control of catalogs, of legacies, of truth itself. Prince's final message wasn't about one company or one artist. It was about what happens when creative independence threatens an empire built on ownership. And when we trace the lines connecting that message to his sudden tragedy inside Paisley Park, one question still hangs over everything. Was his silence the price of what he discovered or just the beginning of a reckoning still unfolding? Prince's tragedy didn't just silence him, it erased the evidence. And the people who benefited the most, the same ones he was investigating in the weeks that followed. Jay-Z's legal team invoked the common interest doctrine, a quiet but powerful maneuver that allowed them to withhold internal emails between Tidal Roc Nation and Prince's former representative, Phaedra Ellis Lamons. On paper, it looked like a legal formality, but behind closed doors, it was a wall built to protect whoever had created those forged contracts. We can see how effectively it worked. The communications that might have proven fraud vanished into a maze of confidentiality claims, and no one outside Jay-Z's circle has seen them since.
See, I think I sent you that thing with Jazz. Jazz went in when they was going at it, of Bo and Jay. But you look at the Jazz now, it's like he's on eggshells now. Like something happened. Like this can stop your career or whatever you're doing. This is what I try to tell dudes, yo, whatever God got for you, I don't give a damn billionaire, whoever, this, that, and the third. You can't stop it.
The doctrine was supposed to shield co-defendants who share a unified defense. Yet here, it became a fortress of secrecy. Industry insiders say those emails could have revealed who actually wrote the so-called equity term sheet, the document at the center of the forgery allegations. Without them, the estate's case was left half-blind, forced to argue circumstantial evidence, while Jay-Z's lawyers insisted that everything had been authorized by Prince himself. It was the perfect tactic: delay, deny, and drown the truth in procedure until public interest faded. Lundell MC Millen wasn't willing to stay quiet. As Prince's longtime attorney and one of the few people who knew exactly what the artist had agreed to before his passing, he became a crucial witness. He was also the man Jay-Z went after publicly and caught their eyes, accusing him of greed and betrayal. But in interviews with Billboard and other outlets, MC Millen countered sharply, calling Jay-Z's version of events a lie. He reminded everyone that he was the one who helped Prince break free from oppressive contracts in the first place, the same fight Tidal claimed to champion. To many observers, Jay-Z's attack on MC Millen wasn't personal. It was strategic. If they could smear the messenger, they could discredit the message before it reached the courtroom. MC Millen's warnings soon proved prophetic. By late 2017, the estate's legal team reported that they had recovered internal emails appearing to prove that the Tidal contracts were backdated. But just days before those files were to be reviewed by court experts, the estate's servers were breached. The hack wiped years of correspondence, including those key attachments. Investigators never identified who was behind it. The timing was too precise to ignore. Arriving the same week, Roc Nation's lawyers filed motions to suppress further document requests. According to one insider familiar with the case, it was digital sabotage disguised as coincidence. It's not just karma.
It's not just karma, that's just the forces of nature or how things work. You ruin people's lives, you do harmful things, and who's to say that he might ever pay that price? Who's to say he even done anything wrong? to anybody else in his eyes. To me, that's not even the same person. That's someone else. It's not the Sean, the Jay.
And it didn't stop there. Over the next few years, other estates, smaller, quieter ones without Prince's global reach, began discovering similar irregularities. Former representatives for lesser-known soul and R&B acts told reporters they had located duplicate contracts in their archives that mirrored the formatting and phrasing of the disputed title papers. In several cases, the signatures were inconsistent or appeared to have been copied from older documents. The pattern was striking. Posthumous catalog control shifting toward the same streaming entity each time under the cover of exclusivity and artist empowerment. We can trace how these discoveries painted a broader picture. Tidal wasn't just fighting over Prince. It was allegedly perfecting a model. Secure the rights of deceased or inactive artists, then claim the deals were completed while they were still alive. It gave the illusion of legitimacy while converting priceless catalogs into long-term digital assets. The estates often lacked the resources to fight, and the public, overwhelmed by constant news cycles, moved on before the cases reached daylight. Those who spoke out faced consequences. MC Millen's reputation took repeated hits in the press. Fueled by stories portraying him as opportunistic or unreliable, Ellis Lamons, who initially cooperated with Prince's family, withdrew from public comment entirely after receiving what she described to friends as legal pressure from multiple sides. Even some members of Prince's estate distanced themselves, frightened by the mounting costs and the quiet warnings circulating through the industry. By the time the first hearings concluded, the narrative had flipped. Jay-Z was portrayed as the misunderstood visionary, while Prince's defenders were painted as greedy heirs. It was a textbook reversal. So, as we look at Jay-Z's life, he's a billionaire married to Beyoncé. Do you feel like he's truly reaped the karma of all his actions?
So, as we look at Jay-Z's life, he's a billionaire, married to Beyonce. Do you feel like he's truly reaped the karma of all his actions?
Where the karma is at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we don't see it.
Nah, well.
Or do you feel like he ever will?
I feel like if you done people wrong, you know you done people wrong.
Meanwhile, new whispers began linking the same business tactics to other major artists. An ex-associate from Rock Nation told a podcast in 2023 that similar contract adjustments had been used when negotiating streaming rights for other high V-value catalogs, some belonging to performers who had passed unexpectedly. None of these claims have been proven, but they align eerily with what Prince's estate uncovered. One attorney close to the matter said that each time an artist's estate raised questions about altered paperwork, their inquiries hit the same roadblock, the common interest doctrine. It was the same shield that kept Prince's truth locked away. The deeper we look, the more the picture expands. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's empire thrives on image control. Every leak counted, every rumor redirected. When Jaguar Wright and other insiders accused Jay-Z of predatory control behind the scenes, they were dismissed as unstable. When songwriters like Tiffany Red accused Beyoncé's camp of silencing creators through NDAs, the media barely blinked. Now, in the context of what happened to Prince, those stories start to sound less like random gossip and more like fragments of a single pattern, a network that protects power, controls narratives, and erases threats.
Still. And then you have celebrities like a Jay-Z. And this is where I think the whole fallout with the Beyoncé, she's just kind of in the crosshairs because of all of what's going on in the media with respect to Jay-Z and stuff. But with Jay, when he complained at the Grammys about the Grammys not giving Beyonce Artist of the Year, when she's the most decorated Grammy-winning artist ever, we invited him to be honored at our award show.
We've seen how the legal filings, the missing evidence, and the sudden silence of key witnesses all connect. Each thread leads back to the same place. A streaming company that promised liberation but delivered ownership. A pair of music icons whose legacy depends on keeping those questions buried. And as the estate's ongoing suits crawl through the courts, we can't ignore how many details have disappeared. Emails lost, witnesses retracted, archives accidentally corrupted. Maybe that's why the industry still whispers about what Prince discovered in those final days. He wasn't just fighting for his music. He was uncovering a system built to outlive its victims. The files that vanished could have exposed it all. but someone made sure the world would never see them. Now, every time another artist's estate reports missing paperwork or unexpected rights transfers, we have to wonder whose fingerprints are on it. Prince wasn't the first artist Jay-Z targeted, and he won't be the last. The real question is, how many careers have been dismantled by this machine, and how many more will disappear before someone finally stops it? Tell us what you think. Was this a coincidence or the cost of challenging power? Until next time, stay curious, stay awake, and remember, in the music business, the loudest silence often hides the darkest truth.